If you have this penny, don't spend it. Mm. Hi, everybody. My name is William L. Jackson Jr., aka Son of the Maniac here. This beautiful penny you see here is a 1914 Denver penny. It's a wheatbag penny. However, these are very hard and scarce to come by. If you have a 1914 penny in your collection, don't spend it, because it could be worth your while. Some of these fetch for around $180 in good condition, and some sell for as much as $1,000. It depends on how they want it. Well, if you have it a high grade, you're looking at a good $1,000. In circulated condition, even one that was in pretty rough shape actually sold for around $108. Yeah. So if you have this penny, don't spend it, because you'll be stupid if you do. So, yeah. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. This is your boy here, William L. Jackson Jr. This is a 1912 Denver penny. A lot of pennies from the early 1910s are, especially minted in Denver, are considered hard to find. Some Pennsylvania ones are not considered hard to find. However, this 1912 and 1914 Denver pennies are really considered hard and sought after by collectors. So, yes, this 1912 penny, if you have one, don't spend it, especially if it was minted in Denver. They're very hard to find. So, yeah, don't spend it. If you have this penny in your collection, or if you have this penny in your pocket, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. My name is William L. Jackson Jr. If you see this here, this is a normal 1911 no mint mark penny, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. However, if you notice over here how it kind of looks because it's old. However, a 1911 Philadelphia penny is actually kind of hard to come by. Now, some are considered easy to find. However, if we're looking for a 1910 Philadelphia, sometimes you'll find one like that. Sometimes you'll have to keep looking. But a 1911 no mint mark Philadelphia penny is kind of hard to come by. So if you can't find one, you'll probably have to go on eBay. Sometimes they're expensive. And I just picked up a 1912 penny, I believe it was, and a 1914 no mint mark penny as well. Spoiler alert. Sorry about that. I had to get them for my set. I have other things that I want to surprise you with. So, yeah. Alright. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. This is a 1911 Denver penny. However, like I said before, a lot of early pennies from the early 1910s, are considered kind of scarce and hard to come by. If you have one of these in your collection, which will probably look like this or maybe even worse condition, however, some coins are really hard to find. A 1911 Denver, you need to add this coin to your collection if you don't already have it. I know I'm trying to still look for my Denver, even though they want $7. So, yeah. Whenever I get more money, I'll probably be going after some more of these coins to get them in my collection to have the ultimate collection. But yeah, some coins are really hard to come by and very scarce to find, especially the 1911 Denver penny. So yeah, if you do have one of these, don't spend it, because you might be basically spending a penny when you can get 100 or thousands of dollars for it in some circumstances. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. This is a 1910 Philadelphia penny. It has no mint mark, which was really common for Philadelphia to do. Philadelphia didn't mint their coins, and however, some pennies from the 80s, 90s, 2010s, 20s, and even the 2000s sometimes had a Philadelphia mark on it. However, quarters didn't start getting a Philadelphia mark, or dimes didn't, and quarters didn't, and nickels didn't start getting a Philadelphia mint mark until the early 1980s. However, this is a no mint mark 1910 penny, which was minted in Philadelphia. However, if you have one of these in your collection, don't spend it, because they're very hard to find. So yes, a 1910 Philadelphia penny. Yeah, Philadelphia penny is really hard to find. If you have one in your collection, don't spend it, because if you do, you might be wasting $1,000. Yeah, because I see some of these going up for around $334. Some sell on average of around 500, and the highest one I seen sold for $33,000. Yeah, what the fuck? Huh. And also, I also saw another one. The cheapest I saw was a guy selling one for $50. Yeah, that's the cheapest. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. I know some people may say that looks like a P, but it's not. That's a D. Because remember, back in the 1910s, Philadelphia didn't put their mint mark on certain coins. However, this is a 1910 Denver penny. However, a 1910 Denver penny is considered kind of hard to find. So, yeah. So, the 1910 Denver penny, if you have one of these, don't spend it because it could go for a lot of money, especially if you have one in good condition. So, yeah. Yeah. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi, everybody. This is a 1915 Denver penny. However, the 1915 Denver penny is very scarce and hard to come by. Like its predecessors, the 1914 like its predecessor 1910 through 1914, the 1915 Denver penny is especially considered hard to find. However, people have looked for these for years and have yet to find one, and I have yet to find one in my collection yet. So yeah, I know how it feels. But yeah, this penny is considered hard to come by, and remember, it's not worth as much as the other ones, but these can easily fetch anywhere between $50 to $59 in okay condition. However, if you have one in pristine uncirculated condition, which is kind of hard to find, you can actually sell these for around $285 if it's graded. Yeah, in perfect uncirculated condition. Yeah. If you have this penny, don't spend it. Uh, Hi, this is a 1915 San Francisco penny. However, this is not a proof penny because proof coins did not exist until 1936 or 1946. What was it? I think, yeah, 1936, I think it was. Yeah. However, they did, well, sorry, let me fix that. They did make some proof coins, but proof sets weren't available until 1936. So, yeah. However, this is a 1915 San Francisco penny, which is also considered hard to find and is worth more than the Denver penny itself. So, yes, this was punched in San Francisco, you can tell by the mint mark there, a little S, which, yeah, makes it a little bit more valuable, but also for hardcore collectors, this penny is really hard to find. Yes. So if you have a 1915 San Francisco, don't spend it because getting it graded, you can actually sell this for around $1,100. Yeah. But if it's circulated condition and is in good shape, they usually go for anywhere between $100 to $150. Yeah, I seen the cheapest I seen was I think 15. Yeah. If you have this penny in your collection, don't spend it. Hi everybody. This is a 1917 D wheat penny. The 1917 D wheat penny, like its predecessors, are also considered hard to find. Now, if you have one in your collection, don't spend it, because it is a collector's item for you to have in your collection. These are also considered very, very hard to come by. So, yes, if you have this in your collection, don't spend it. And remember, this penny could make you really rich. Some sell for as much as $900, and the highest one I seen sold for $11,085. Yeah, $11,085. How do you like that?